Act 3. In the library after lunch. It is not much of a library. It's literary equipment consisting of a single fixed shelf stocked with old paper-covered novels, broken backed, coffee-stained, torn and thumbed, and a couple of little hanging shelves with a few gift books on them, the rest of the wall space being occupied by trophies of war and the chase. But it is a most comfortable sitting room. A row of three large windows in the front of the house show a mountain panorama, which is just now seen in one of its softest aspects in the mellowing afternoon light. In the left-hand corner, a square earthenware stove, a perfect tower of colored pottery, rises nearly to the ceiling and guarantees plenty of warmth. The ottoman in the middle is a circular bank of decorated cushions, and the window seats are well upholstered divans. Little Turkish tables, one of them with an elaborate hookah on it and a screen to match them, complete the handsome effect of the furnishing. There is a small kitchen table, much the worse for wear, fitted as a writing table with an old canister full of pens, an egg cup filled with ink, and a deplorable scrap of severely used pink blotting paper. At the side of this table, which stands on the right, Bluntschli is hard at work, with a couple of maps before him, writing orders. At the head of it sits Sergius, who is also supposed to be at work, but who is actually gnawing the feather of a pen and contemplating Bluntschli's quick, sure, businesslike progress with a mixture of envious irritation at his own incapacity and awestruck wonder at an ability which seems to him almost miraculous, though its prosaic character forbids him to esteem it. The major is comfortably established on the ottoman, with the newspaper in his hand and the tube of the hookah within its reach. Catherine sits at the stove with her back to them, embroidering. Raina, reclining on the divan under the left-hand window, is gazing in a daydream out at the Balkan landscape, with a neglected novel in her lap. The door is on the left. The button of the electric bell is between the door and the fireplace. Petkoff looking up from his paper to watch how they are getting on at the table.
Are you sure I can't help you in any way, Bluntschli?
Quite sure. Thank you. Serenov and I will manage it.
Yes, we'll manage it. He finds out what to do, draws up the orders, and I sign him. Division of Labor, Major. Another one? Thank you. This hand is more accustomed to the sword than to the pen.
It's very good of you, Captain. It indeed is. To let yourself be put upon in this way. Now, are you quite sure I can do nothing?
You can stop interrupting, Paul.
Eh? Oh, quite right, my love. Quite right. Ah, you haven't been campaigning, Catherine. You don't know how pleasant it is for us to sit here after a good lunch with nothing to do but enjoy ourselves. There's only one thing I want to make me there's only one thing I want to make me thoroughly comfortable.
What is that?
My old coat. I'm not at home in this one. I feel as if I were on parade.
My dear Paul, how absurd you are about that old coat. It must be hanging in the blue closet where you left it.
My dear Catherine, I tell you I've looked there. Am I to believe my own eyes or not? What are you showing of that bell for? My dear, if you think the obstinacy of your sex can make a coat out of two old dressing gowns of Raina's, you're waterproof, and my mackintosh, you're mistaken. That's exactly what the blue closet contains at present.
Nicola, go to the blue closet and bring your master's old coat here. The braided one he usually wears in the house.
Yes, madam.
Catherine,
Yes, Paul?
I bet you any piece of jewelry you like to order from Sophia against a week's housekeeping money. That coat isn't there.
Done, Paul.
Come, here's an opportunity for some sport. Who'll bet on it? Bluntschli, I'll give you 6-1.
It would be robbing you, Major. Madam is sure to be right.
Bravo, Switzerland. Major, I bet my best charger against an Arab mare for Raina that Nicola finds the goat in the blue closet.
Your best job?
Don't be foolish, Paul. An Arabian mare will cost you 50,000 livres.
Really, mother, if you're going to take the jewelry, I don't see why you should grudge me my Arab.
Nicola comes back with the coat and brings it to Petkoff, who can hardly believe his eyes.
Where was it, Nicola?
Hanging in the blue closet, madam.
Well, I'm stunned.
Paul?
I could have sworn it wasn't there. Age is beginning to tell on me. I'm getting hallucinations. Here, help me change. Excuse me, Bluntschli. Remember, I didn't take that bet of yours, Sergius. You'd better give Raina that Arab steed yourself, since you've roused her expectations. Eh, Raina? She's dreaming, as usual.
Assuredly, she shall not be the loser.
So much the better for you. I shan't come off so cheap, I expect. Ah, now I feel at home at last.
That's the last order.
What? Finished?
Finished. Haven't you anything for me to sign? Not necessary. His signature will do.
Ah, well, I think we've done a thundering good day's work. Can I do anything more?
You had both better see the fellows that are to take these. Pack them off at once and show them that I've marked on the orders the time they should hand them in by. Tell them that if they stop to drink or tell stories, if they're 5 minutes late, they'll have the skin taken off their backs.
I'll say so. And if one of them is man enough to spit in my face for insulting them, I'll buy his discharge and give him a pension.
Just see that he talks to them properly. Major, will you?
Quite right, Captain. Quite right. I'll see to it. By, by the by, Captain, you may as well come too. They'll be far more frightened of you than me.
I dare say I had better. You will only splutter at them.
What a country! They make cannons out of cherry trees, and the officers send for their wives to keep discipline.
He begins to fold and docket the papers. Rena, who has risen from the divan, strolls down to the room with her hands clasped behind her and looks mischievously at him.
You look ever so much nicer than when we last met. What have you done to yourself?
Washed, brushed, good night's sleep, and breakfast. That's all.
Did you get back safely that morning?
Quiet. Thanks.
Were they angry with you for running away from Sergius's charge?
No, they were glad because they'd all just run away themselves.
It must have made a love story for them, all about me and my room.
Capital story. But I only told it to one of them, a particular friend.
On whose discretion you could absolutely rely.
Absolutely.
He told it all to my father and Sergius the day you exchanged the prisoners.
No, you don't mean that, do you?
I do indeed, but they don't know that it was in this house that you hid. If Sergius knew, he would challenge you and kill you in a duel.
Bless me. Then don't tell him.
Can you realize what it is to me to deceive him? I want to be quite perfect with Sergius. No meanness, no smallness, no deceit. My relation to him is the one really beautiful and noble part of my life. I hope you can understand that.
You mean that you wouldn't like him to find out that the story about the ice pudding was, you know,
Don't talk of it in that flippant way. I lied, I know it. But I did it to save your life. And he would have killed you. That was the second time I ever uttered a falsehood. Do you remember the first time?
no, was I present?
Yes. And I told the officer who was searching for you that you were not present.
True. I should have remembered that.
It is natural that you should forget it first. It cost you nothing. cost me a lie. A lie.
She sits down on the ottoman, looking straight before her, with her hands clasped on her knee. Bluntschli, quite touched, goes to the ottoman with a particularly reassuring and considerate air, and sits down beside her.
My dear young lady, don't let this worry you. Remember, I'm a soldier. Now, what are the two things that happen to a soldier so often that he comes to think nothing of them? One is hearing people tell lies. The other is getting his life saved in all sorts of ways by all sorts of people.
And so he becomes a creature incapable of faith and of gratitude.
Do you like gratitude? I don't. If pity is akin to love, gratitude is akin to the other thing.
Gratitude. If you're incapable of gratitude, you're incapable of any noble sentiment. Even animals are grateful. Oh, I say how exactly what you think of me. You were not surprised to hear me lie. To you, it was something I probably did every day, every hour. That is how men think of women.
There's reason in everything. You said you're only two lies in your whole life. Dear young lady, isn't that rather a short allowance? I'm quite a straightforward man myself, but it wouldn't last me a whole morning.
Do you know, sir, that you are insulting me?
I can't help it. When you get into that noble attitude and speak in that thrilling voice, I admire you. But I find it impossible to believe a single word you say.
Captain Bluntschli,
Yes,
you mean what you said just now? Do you know what you said just now?
I do.
I, I,
She points to herself incredulously, meaning, I, Rana Petkoff, tell lies. He meets her gaze unflinchingly. She suddenly sits down beside him and adds with a complete change of manner from the heroic to the familiar.
how did you find me out?
Instinct, dear lady, instinct. And experience of the world.
You know, you're the first man I ever met who did not take me seriously.
You mean, don't you, that I'm the first man that has ever taken you quite seriously?
Yes, I suppose I do mean that. How strange it is to be talked to in such a way. You know, I've always gone on like that. I mean the noble attitude and the thrilling voice. I did it when I was a tiny child to my nurse. She believed in it. I do it before my parents. They believe in it. I do it before Sergius. He believes in it.
Yes, he's a little in that line himself, isn't he?
Do you think so?
You know him better than I do.
I wonder. I wonder, is he? If I thought that. Well, what does it matter? I suppose now that you've found me out, you despise me.
No, my dear young lady, no, no, no. 1,000 times. It's part of your youth, part of your charm. I'm like all the rest of them. The nurse, your parents, Sergius. I'm your infatuated admirer.
Really?
Hand off hers, really and truly.
But what did you think of me for giving you my portrait?
Your portrait. You never gave me a portrait.
Do you mean to say that you never got it?
No. When did you send it to me?
I did not send it to you. It was in the pocket of that coat.
Oh, I never found it. It must be there still.
There still for my father to find the first time he puts his hand in his pocket. Oh, how could you be so stupid?
It doesn't matter. It's only a photograph. How can you tell who it was intended for? Tell him he put it there himself.
Yes, that is so clever. So clever. What shall I do?
Ah, I see. You wrote something on it. That was rash.
Oh, to have done such a thing for you, who can no more except to laugh at me? Oh, Are you sure nobody has touched it?
Well, I can't be sure. You see, I couldn't carry it about with me all the time. One can't take much luggage on active service.
What did you do with it?
When I got through to Peerage, I had to put it in safe keeping somehow. I thought of the railway cloakroom, but that's the surest place to get looted in modern warfare. So I pawned it.
Pawned it?
I know it doesn't sound nice, but it was much the safest plan. I redeemed it the day before yesterday. Heaven only knows whether the pawnbreaker cleared out the pockets or not.
You have a low shopkeeping mind. You think of things that would never come into a gentleman's head.
That's the Swiss national character, dear lady.
How I wish I had never met you.
She flounces away and sits at the window fuming. Louka comes in with a heap of letters and telegrams on her slaver and crosses with her bold, free gait to the table. Her left sleeve is looped up to the shoulder with a brooch, showing her naked arm, with a broad gilt bracelet covering the bruise.
For you.
She empties the slaver recklessly on the table.
The messenger is waiting.
She is determined not to be civil to a Servian, even if she must bring him his letters.
Will you excuse me? The last postal delivery that reached me was 3 weeks ago. These are the subsequent accumulations. 4 telegrams. A week old. Oh ho! Bad news.
Bad news?
My father is dead.
Oh.
He looks at the telegram with his lips pursed, musing on the unexpected change in his arrangements.
Oh, how very sad.
Yes, I shall have to start for home in an hour. He has left a lot of big hotels behind him to be looked after. Here's a backing letter from the family solicitor. Great heavens. 70? 200? 400? 4,000? 9,600? What on earth shall I do with them all?
9,000 hotels?
Hotels? Nonsense. If you only knew. Oh, it's too ridiculous. Excuse me. I must give my fellow orders about starting.
He leaves the room hastily with the documents in his hand.
He has not much heart, that Swiss, though he is so fond of the Servians. He has not a word of grief for his poor father.
Grief? A man who has been doing nothing but killing people for years. What does he care? What does any soldier care?
Major Saranov has been fighting too, and he has plenty of heart left. Aha! I thought you wouldn't get much feeling out of your soldier.
She is following Raina when Nicola enters with an armful of logs for the fire, Nicola grinning amorously at her.
I've been trying all the afternoon to get a minute alone with you, my girl. Why, what fashion is that of wearing your sleeves, child?
My own fashion.
Indeed, if the mistress catches you, she'll talk to you.
Is there any reason why you should take it on yourself to talk to me?
Come, don't be so contrary with me. I've got some good news for you. See, a 20 leva bill. Sergius gave me that out of pure swagger. A fool and his money are soon parted. There's 10 levas more. The Swiss gave me that for backing up the mistresses and Raina's lies about him. He is no fool, he isn't. You should have heard old Catherine downstairs as polite as you please to me, telling me not to mind the major being a little impatient, for they knew what a good servant I was, after making a fool and a liar of me before them all. The 20 will go to our savings, and you shall have the 10 to spend if you will only talk to me so as to remind me that I'm a human being. I get tired of being a servant occasionally.
Yes. Sell your manhood for 30 levels and buy me for 10. Keep your money. You were born to be a servant. I was not. When you set up your shop, you will only be everybody's servant instead of somebody's servant.
Ah, wait till you see. We shall have our evenings to ourselves. And I shall be master in my own house, I promise you.
You shall never be master in mine.
Nicola, turning still on his knees and squatting down rather forlornly on his calves, daunted by her impeccable disdain.
You have a great ambition in you, Louka. Remember, if any luck comes to you, it is I that made a woman of you.
You!
Yes, me. Who was it made you give up wearing a couple of pounds of false black hair on your head and reddening your lips and cheeks like any other Bulgarian girl? I did. Who taught you to trim your nails and keep your hands clean and be dainty about yourself like a fine Russian lady? Me. Do you hear that? Me. I've often thought that if Raina were out of the way and you were just a little less of a fool and Sergius just a little more of one, you might come to be one of my grandest customers instead of only being my wife and costing me money.
I believe you'd rather be my servant than my husband. You would make more out of me. Oh, I know that soul of yours.
Never you mind my soul, but just listen to my advice. If you want to be a lady, your present behavior to me won't do at all, unless we're alone. It's too sharp and imprudent, and impudence is a sort of familiarity. It shews affection for me. And don't you try being high and mighty with me either. You're like all country girls. You think it's genteel to treat a servant the way I treat a stable boy. That's only your ignorance, and don't you forget it. And don't be so ready to defy everybody. Act as if you have expected to have your own way, not as if you have expected to be ordered about. The way to get on as a lady is the same as the way you get on as a servant. You've got to know your place. That's the secret of it. And you may depend to me to know my place if you get promoted. Think over it, my girl. I'll stand by you. One servant should always stand by another.
Oh, I must behave in my own way. You take all the courage out of me with your cold blooded wisdom. Go and put those logs on the fire. That's the sort of thing you understand.
Before Nicola can retort, Sergius comes in. He checks himself a moment on seeing Louka, then goes to the stove. Sergius to Nicola.
I'm not in the way of your work, I hope.
Oh, no, sir. Thank you kindly. I was only speaking to this foolish girl about her habit of running her to the library whenever she gets a chance to look at the books. That's the worst of her education, sir. It gives her habits above her station. Make that table tidy, Louka, for the major.
He goes out sedately. Louka, without looking at Sergius, begins to arrange the papers on the table. He crosses slowly to her and studies the arrangement of her sleeves reflectively.
Let me see. Is there a mark there?
He turns up the bracelet and sees the bruise made by his grasp. She stands motionless, not looking at him, fascinated but on her guard.
Does it hurt?
Yes.
Shall I cure it?
Louka,
No.
instantly withdrawing herself proudly, but still not looking at him.
No. You cannot cure it now.
Quite sure?
He makes a movement as if to take her in his arms.
Don't trifle with me, please. An officer should not trifle with a servant.
Sergius, touching the arm with a merciless stroke of his forefinger.
That was no trifle, Luca.
No. Are you sorry?
Sergius, with measured emphasis, folding his arms.
I'm never sorry.
I wish I could believe a man could be so unlike a woman as that. I wonder, are you really a brave man?
Yes, I am a brave man. My heart jumped like a woman's at the first shot, but in the charge I found that I was brave. Yes, that at least is real about me.
Did you find in the charge that the men whose fathers are poor like mine were any less brave than the men who are rich like you?
Not a bit. They all slashed and cursed and yelled like heroes. The courage to rage and kill is cheap. I have an English bull terrier who has as much of that sort of courage as the whole Bulgarian nation and the whole Russian nation at its back. But he lets my groom thrash him all the same. That's your soldier all over. No, Louka, your poor men can cut throats, but they're afraid of their officers. They put up with insults and blows. They stand by and see one another punished like children, and help to do it when they're ordered. And the officers, well, I'm an officer. Oh, give me that man who will defy to the death any power on earth or in heaven that sets itself up against his own will and conscience. He alone is the brave man.
How easy it is to talk. Men never seem to me to grow up. They all have schoolboys' ideas. You don't know what true courage is.
Indeed, I'm willing to be instructed.
Look at me. How much am I allowed to have my own will? I have to get to your room ready for you, to sweep and dust, to fetch and carry. How could that degrade me if it did not degrade you to have it done for you? But if I were the Empress of Russia, above everyone in the world, then, then, though according to you I could show no courage at all, you should see, you should see.
What would you do, most noble empress?
I'd marry the man I loved, which no other queen in Europe has the courage to do. If I loved you, though you'd be as far beneath me as I'm beneath you, I dare to be the equal of my inferior. Would you dare as much if you loved me? No. If you felt the beginnings of love for me, you'd not let it grow. You dare not. You'd marry a rich man's daughter because you'd be afraid of what other people would say of you.
You lie. It is not so by all the stars. If I loved you and I were the star himself, I would set you on the throne by my side. You know that I love another woman, a woman as high above you as heaven is above earth, and you are jealous of her.
I've no reason to be. She will never marry you now. The man I told you of has come back. She will marry the Swiss,
The Swiss!
a man worth 10 of you. Then you can come to me and I'll refuse you. You're not good enough for me.
I will kill the Swiss, and afterwards I'll do as I please with you.
The Swiss will kill you. Perhaps. He has beaten you in love. He may beat you in war.
Do you think I believe that she whose worst thoughts are higher than your best ones, is capable of trifling with another man behind my back?
Do you think she'd believe the Swiss if he told her now that I'm in your arms?
Damnation. Oh, damnation. Mockery, mockery everywhere. Everything I think is mocked by everything I do. Coward, liar, fool. Shall I kill myself like a man, or live and pretend to laugh at myself? Luca, remember, you belong to me.
What does that mean? An insult?
It means that you love me, and that I have had you here in my arms, and will perhaps have you there again. Whether that is an insult, I neither know nor care. Take it as you please. But I will not be a coward and a trifler. If I choose to love you, I dare marry you in spite of all Bulgaria. If these hands ever touch you again, they shall touch my affianced bride.
We shall see whether you dare keep your word. But take care. I will not wait long.
Yes, we shall see, and you shall wait my pleasure.
Bluntschli, much preoccupied with his papers, still in his hand, enters, leaving the door open for Louka to go out. He goes across to the table, glancing at her as he passes. Sergius, without altering his resolute attitude, watches him steadily. Louka goes out, leaving the door open. Bluntschli, absently sitting at the table as before, and putting down his papers.
That's a remarkable looking young woman.
Captain Bluntschli,
Eh?
you have deceived me. You are my rival. I brook no rival. At Petkoff, I shall be in the drilling ground, on the Kilstora road, alone, on horseback, with my saber. Do you understand?
Oh, thank you. That's a cavalryman's proposal. I'm in the artillery, and I have the choice of weapons. If I go, I shall take a machine gun, and there shall be no mistake about the cartridges this time.
Take care, sir. It's not our custom in Bulgaria to allow invitations of that kind to be trifled with.
Whew. Don't talk to me about Bulgaria. You don't know what fighting is. But have it your own way. Bring your saber along. I'll meet you.
Well said, Switzer. Shall I lend you my best horse?
No, damn your horse. Thank you all the same, my dear fellow. I shall fight you on foot. Horseback's too dangerous. I don't want to kill you if I can help it.
I have heard what happened. I have heard what Captain Bluntschli said, Sergius. You're going to fight. Why? What about?
I don't know. He hasn't told me. Better not interfere, dear young lady. No harm will be done. I've often acted as sword instructor. He won't be able to touch me, and I'll not hurt him. It'll save explanations. In the morning, I shall be off home, and you'll never see me or hear of me again. You and he will then make it up and live happily ever after.
I never said I wanted to see you again.
Ha! That is a confession.
What do you mean?
You love that man.
Sergius!
You allow him to make love to you behind my back, just as you accept me as your affianced husband behind his. Bluntschli, you knew our relations and you deceived me. It is for that I call you to account, not for having received favors that I never enjoyed.
Stuff! Rubbish! I have never received no favors. Why? The young lady doesn't even know whether I'm married or not.
Oh, are you?
You see the young lady's concern, Captain Bluntschli. Denial is useless. You have enjoyed the privilege of being received in her own room late at night.
Yes, you blockhead. She received me with a pistol at her head. Your cavalry were at my heels. I'd have blown out her brains if she'd uttered a cry.
Bluntschli, Raina, is this true?
Oh, how dare you? How dare you?
Apologize, man. Apologize.
I never apologize.
This is the doing of that friend of yours, Captain Bluntschli. It is he who is spreading this horrible story about me.
No, he's dead. Burnt alive.
Burnt alive?
Shot in the hip in a woodyard. Couldn't drag himself out. Your fellow's shells set the timber on fire and burnt him, with half a dozen other poor devils in the same predicament.
How horrible.
And how ridiculous! Oh, war, war, the dream of patriots and heroes. A fraud, Bluntschli, a hollow sham, like love.
Like love. You say that before me.
Come, Saranoff, that matter is explained.
A hollow sham, my dear. Would you have come back here if nothing had passed between you except the muzzle of your pistol? Rena is mistaken about our friend who was burned. He was not my informant.
Who then? Ah, Louka, my maid, my servant. You were with her this morning all that time oh, what sort of God is this I have been worshipping? Do
He
you
meets her,
know? Sorry.
sorry. He meets her gaze with sardonic enjoyment of her disenchantment. Angered all the more, she goes closer to him, and says in a lower, intenser tone.
Do you know that I looked out of the window as I went upstairs to have another sight of my hero, and I saw something that I did not understand then. I know now that you were making love to her.
You saw that?
Only too well.
Rena, our romance is shattered. Life's a farce.
You see, he's found himself out now.
Bluntschli, I've allowed you to call me a blockhead. You may now call me a coward as well. I refuse to fight you. Do you know why?
No, but it doesn't matter. I didn't ask the reason when you cried on, and I don't ask the reason now that you cry off. I'm a professional soldier. I fight when I have to, and I'm very glad to get out of it when I haven't to. You're only an amateur. You think fighting's an amusement.
You shall hear the reason all the same, my professional. The reason is that it takes two men, two real men, men of heart, blood, and honor, to make a genuine combat. I could no more fight with you than I could make love to an ugly woman. You've no magnetism. You're not a man, you're a machine.
Quite true, quite true. I always was that sort of chap. I'm very sorry. But now that you've found out that life isn't a farce, but something quite sensible and serious, what further obstacle is there to your happiness?
You are very solicitous about my happiness and his. Do you forget his new love, Louka? It is not you that he must fight now, but his rival, Nicola.
Rival?
Did you not know that they are engaged?
Nicola? Our fresh abyss is opening? Nicola?
A shocking sacrifice, isn't it? Such beauty, such intellect, such modesty, wasted on a middle-aged servant man. Really, Sergius, you cannot stand by and allow such a thing. It would be unworthy of your chivalry.
Viper. Viper.
Look here, Saranov, you're getting the worst of this.
Do you realize what he has done, Captain Bluntschli? He has set this girl as a spy on us, and her reward is that he makes love to her.
False. Monstrous.
Monstrous? Do you deny that she told you about Captain Bluntschli being in my room?
No. But
Do you deny that you were making love to her when she told you?
no. But I tell you,
It is unnecessary to tell us anything more. That is quite enough for us.
I told you you were getting the worst of it, Saranov.
Tiger Cat.
You hear this man calling me names, Captain Bluntschli?
What else can he do, dear lady? He must defend himself somehow. Come, don't quarrel. What good does it do?
Rena, with a gasp, sits down on the ottoman, and after a vain effort to look vexedly at Bluntschli, she falls a victim to her sense of humor, and is attacked with a disposition to laugh.
Engaged to Nicola. Ah, well, Bluntschli, you're right to take this huge impostor of a world coolly.
I dare say you think us a couple of grown up babies, don't you?
He does. Swiss civilization, nerve-stunting Bulgarian barbarianism. Eh?
Not at all, I assure you. I'm only very glad to get you two quieted. There now, let's be pleasant and talk it over in a friendly way. Where is this other young lady?
Listening at the door, probably.
I will prove that at least is a calumny.
He goes with dignity to the door and opens it. A yell of fury bursts from him as he looks out. He darts into the passage and returns dragging in Louka, whom he flings against the table, R as he cries.
Judge her, Bluntschli. You, the moderate, cautious man, judge the eavesdropper.
Louka
I
stands
mustn't,
her ground, proud and silent.
I mustn't judge her. I once listened myself outside a tent when there was a mutiny brewing. It's all a question of the degree of provocation. My life was at stake.
My love was at stake. I'm
Sir,
not ashamed.
Your love, your curiosity, you mean?
My
Louka,
love, stronger than anything you can feel, even for your chocolate cream soldier.
Sergius with quick suspicion to Louka.
What does that mean?
It means
Oh, I remember. The ice pudding. A paltry taunt girl.
Major Petkoff enters in his shirt sleeves.
Excuse my shirt sleeves, gentlemen. Raina, somebody has been wearing that coat of mine. I swear it. Somebody with bigger shoulders than mine. It's all burst open at the back. The mother is mending it. I wish she'd make haste. I shall dash it for you. Is anything the matter?
No.
Oh no.
nothing, nothing.
That's all right. Anything the matter, Luca?
no, sir.
Good right. Go and ask the mistress for my coat, like a good girl, will you?
She turns to obey, but Nicola enters with the coat, and she makes a pretense of having business in their room by taking the little table with the hookah away to the wall near the windows. Raina, rising quickly as she sees the coat on Nicola's arm.
Here it is, Papa. Give it to me, Nicola. And do you put some more wood on the fire?
She takes the coat and brings it to the major, who stands up to put it on. Nicola attends to the fire.
Aha! Going to be very good to poor old Papa. Just for one day after his return from the wars, eh?
How can you say that to me, Father?
Well, only a joke if you want. Come, give me a kiss. Now, give me the coat.
Now, I'm going to put it on for you. Turn your back.
He turns his back and feels behind him with his arms for the sleeves. She dexterously takes the photograph from the pocket and throws it on the table before Bluntschli, who covers it with a sheet of paper under the very nose of Sergius, who looks on amazed, with her suspicions roused in the highest degree. She then helps Petkoff on with his coat.
There, dear. Now are you comfortable?
Good love, thanks. By the by, I found something funny. What's the meaning of this? Hey, hello? Well, I could have sworn. I wonder, where can it be? Her mother's taken it.
Taken what?
A photograph with the inscription, Raina, to her chocolate cream soldier, a souvenir. Now you know there's something more in this than the eye needs, and I'm going to find out. Nicola,
Sir,
did you spoil any pastry of Miss Raina's this morning?
you heard Miss Reina say that I did, sir.
You know that, you idiot. Was it true?
I am sure Miss Reina is incapable of saying anything that is not true, sir.
Are you? Then I'm not. Ah, do you think I don't see it at all? This, you are the chocolate cream soldier, aren't you?
I, a chocolate cream soldier? Certainly not.
No. You mean to tell me that Raina sends photographic souvenirs to other men?
The world is not such an innocent place as we used to think, Petkoff.
It's all right, Major. I am the chocolate cream soldier. The gracious young lady saved my life by giving me chocolate creams when I was starving. Shall I ever forget their flavor? My late friends told you the story at the Admit it. I was the fugitive.
You! But do you remember how those two women went on this morning when we mentioned it? I said, aren't you?
Major Saranov has changed his mind. And when I wrote that on the photograph, I did not know that Captain Bluntschli was married.
I'm not married.
You said you were.
I did not. I positively did not. I never was married in my life.
Fair enough. Will you kindly inform me if I'm not asking too much? Which gentleman are you engaged to?
To neither of them. This young lady is the object of Major Saran's affections at present.
Louka? Are you mad, Sergius? Why? This girl's engaged to Nicola.
I beg your pardon, sir. There is a mistake. Luca is not engaged to me.
Engaged to you, you scoundrel. Why? You had 25 livers from me on the day of your betrothal, and she had the guilt bracelet from Miss Raina.
We gave it out so, sir, but it was only to give Luca protection. She had a soul above her station, and I have been no more than her confidential servant. I intend, as you know, sir, to set up a shop later in Sofia, and I look forward to her custom and recommendation should she marry into nobility.
Well, I am.
This is either the finest heroism or the most crawling baseness. Which is it, Bluntschli?
Never mind whether it is heroism or baseness. Nicola's the ablest man I've met in Bulgaria. I'll make him manager of a hotel if he can speak French and German.
I have been insulted by everyone. You set them the example. You owe me an apology.
Sergius immediately, like a repeating clock of which the spring has been touched, begins to fold his arms. Bluntschli before he can speak.
It's no use. He never apologizes.
To you, his equal and his enemy. To me, his poor servant. He will not refuse to apologize.
You are right. Forgive me.
I forgive you.
She timidly gives him her hand, which he kisses.
That touch makes me your
Ah,
affianced wife.
I forgot that.
You can withdraw if you like.
Withdraw? Never. You belong to me.
He puts his arm about her and draws her to him. Catherine comes in and finds Luca in Sergius's arm, and all the rest gazing at them in bewildered astonishment.
What does this mean?
Well, my dear, it appears that Sergius is going to marry Luca instead of Raina. Don't blame me. I have nothing to do with it.
Marry Luca? Sergius, you're bound by your word to us.
Nothing binds me.
Saranoff, your hand. My congratulations. These heroics of yours have their practical side after all. Gracious young lady, the best wishes of a good Republican.
We've been telling stories.
I've done Raina no harm.
Raina,
I like to call her Raina. She calls me Luca. I told Major Saranov she'd never marry him if the Swiss gentleman came back.
Hello?
I thought you were fonder of him than of Sergius. You know best whether I was right.
What nonsense. I assure you, my dear Major, my dear Madam, the gracious young lady simply saved my life, nothing else. She never cared two straws for me. Why, bless my heart and soul, look at the young lady and look at me. She, rich, young, beautiful, with her imagination full of fairy princes and noble natures and cavalry charges and God and goodness knows what. And I, a commonplace Swiss soldier who hardly knows what a decent life is after 15 years of barracks and battles. A vagabond. A man who has spoiled all his chances in life through an incurably romantic disposition. A man,
Excuse me, Bluntschli. What did you say has spoiled your chances in life?
an incurably romantic disposition. I ran away from house twice when I was a boy. I went into the army instead of into my father's business. I climbed the balcony of this house when a man of sense would have dived into the nearest cellar. I came sneaking back here to have another look at the young lady when any other man of my age would have sent back the coat.
My coat?
Yes, that's the coat I mean. Would have sent it back and gone quietly home. Do you suppose I'm the sort of fellow a young girl falls in love with? Why, look at her ages. I'm 34. I don't suppose the young lady is much older, much over 17. All that adventure, which was life or death for me, was only a schoolgirl's game to her. Chocolate creams and hide and seek. Here's the proof. Now I ask you, would a woman who took the affair seriously have sent me this and written on it, Raina, to her chocolate cream soldier? A souvenir.
That's what I was looking for. How the deuce did it get there?
I have put everything right, I hope, gracious young lady.
I quite agree with your account of yourself. You are a romantic idiot. Next time, I hope you will know the difference between a schoolgirl of 17 and a woman of 23.
23?
Bluntschli, my one last belief is gone. Your sagacity is a fraud, like all other things. You have less sense than even I have.
23? 23? Hmm. In that case, Major Petkoff, I beg to propose formally to become a suitor for your daughter's hand, in place of Major Saranov retired.
You dare!
If you were 23 when you said those things to me this afternoon, I shall take them seriously.
I doubt, sir, whether you quite realize either my daughter's position or that of Major Sergius Saranov, whose place you propose to take. The Petkoffs and the Saranovs are known as the richest and most important families in the country. Our position is almost historical. We can go back for nearly 20 years.
Oh, never mind that, Chajjer. We should be most happy ones. It was only a question of the position. I get, you know. Raina is accustomed to a very comfortable establishment. It horses.
But what on earth is the use of 20 horses? Why, it's a circus.
My daughter, sir, is accustomed to a first-rate stable.
Hush, mother, you're making me look ridiculous.
Oh well, if it comes to a question of an establishment, here goes. How many horses did you say?
20, noble Switzer.
I have 200 horses. How many carriages?
3.
I have 70. 24 of them will hold 12 inside, besides 2 on the box, without counting the driver and conductor. How many tablecloths have you?
How the deuce do I know?
Have you 4,000?
No.
I have. I have 9,600 pairs of sheets and blankets, with 2,400 eider-down quilts. I have 10,000 knives and forks, and the same quantity of dessert spoons. I have 600 servants. I have 6 palatial establishments, besides 2 livery stables, a tea garden, and a private house. I have 4 medals for distinguished services. I have the rank of an officer and the standing of a gentleman. And I have 3 native languages. Show me any man in Bulgaria that can offer as much.
I you have Switzerland.
My rank is the highest known in Switzerland. I'm a free citizen.
Then Captain Bluntschli, Since you're my daughter's choice, I shall not stand in the way of her happiness. That is Major Petkoff's feeling too, also.
The only flat of 100 horses. Great.
What says the lady?
The lady says that he can keep his tablecloths and his omnibuses. I'm not here to be sold to the highest bidder.
I won't take that answer. I appealed to you as a fugitive, a beggar, and a starving man. You accepted me. You gave me your hand to kiss, your bed to sleep in, and your roof to shelter me.
I did not give them to the Emperor of Switzerland.
That's just what I say. Now tell us who you did give it, who you did give them to.
To my chocolate cream soldier.
That'll do. Thank you. Time's up, Major. You've managed those regiments so well that you're sure to be asked to get rid of some of the infantry of the Timur division. Send them home by way of Lom Palanka. Saranov, don't get married until I come back. I shall be here punctually at 5 in the evening on Tuesday fortnight. Gracious ladies, good evening.
What a man! What a man!
Fabulous. Fabulous job done by you all, students. I am impressed